guys, so this is going to be our first video on actually using Autodesk Inventor. The first step if we're making a new part is to click New Part. All these other things are going to be useful later on, but for now we'll just start with something simple. So now that we've got our first part, it's time to start sketching. And clearly the first button to push is Start 2D Sketch. So we're going to click that, and you'll see that it gives you this set of planes. What you have to do here is click the first plane that you want to use to sketch. And by convention, we start on the XY plane. It doesn't really matter that much, but you should try to use the XY plane when you're starting a sketch. So click that. And before we start anything, I just want to go over how to move around the screen. So if you have a mouse, you can use the scroll wheel to zoom in and out, and you can push down the scroll wheel to move around. If you're on a keyboard or something, you can click the function button, and then F2 will allow you to move around the screen, and F3 will allow you to zoom in and out. So yeah, you can play with that for a little. All right, so the next step is shapes. So in every sketch, you're gonna have to be using some kind of shapes to make a full part. If you go over to the top left-hand corner, you'll see all these different shapes that you can use. If you click the drop-down menu, there's a bunch of other options here. You can also hover over any option on the Inventor dashboard to see what it does. So you just take a little to, I guess, read those. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start with a rectangle. So when you're sketching, it's really important that your first shape is locked to the origin. So what I mean by that is basically you just want to put the first point of your shape right on the origin like that. You'll see that it's locked when there's a green dot that comes up. So just make a shape, and it can be any size. The importance of that is that you'll see that these two lines here are black. What that means is that they are fully constrained. They can't be moved. If you so push the escape button to get out of drawing the rectangle. Otherwise, you'll just draw another one. And if you click on these sides, you'll notice that they turn green when you hover over them. And that means that if you click on them and drag them around, you can kind of still change the dimensions of the shape. Now, we don't really want that, obviously. We want the shape to be fully defined. And in order to add a distance, you can look over here at the dimension button. So it kind of shows you how to do it. You click the dimension button, you can click one of these sides. I'm going to make it, let's say, 2 inches. And zoom out a little. And I'll make this other side 1 inch. And boom, we are done with our first shape. So next we can kind of play with a circle. You'll notice that when you start sketching any shape, it gives you the option to actually set the dimensions before finishing it. So you can just, let's make it like 0.5 inches in diameter. And you can just do it like that. So those are the easy shapes. Why don't we start playing with some lines? So you can use lines to make more complex shapes. Like a rectangle will just give you a set of lines which are already parallel to each other on all sides and have only right angles. But say I want to make like a trapezoid, I can use lines to do that. We'll start with like a normal quadrilateral, you know. It's not fully defined. We just want to have a 4-sided shape that we can eventually use and modify to make a trapezoid. So the first step, as you already know, is to use the dimension feature and click on, let's do the base first. Click on the base. What I'm going to do here actually is set the base to be a variable. So I'll call it base equals 1.5 inches. So that's useful because now I have this variable that I can use when I'm defining the other sides of the shape. Let's say I want this to be half that. I can say base divided by 2. And now it's going to be exactly half that. And here I can click this, you're gonna have to double click slanted lines in order to get the length of the line and not the perpendicular distance. I can set this to base divided by 2 as well. So now for any quadrilateral, you need 4 dimensions to define its, to fully constrain it. So right now we have 3. Instead of saying that we want this line to be a certain distance, we can try doing something with angles instead. So we'll click this line over here and this line over here, and when you do that, it gives you the angle between them. So we can set this angle to be 60 degrees, and then this angle to be also 60 degrees. And at this point, since you have 2 of these angles here and you know that these 2 sides are the same, the rest of these dimensions are already going to be determined for you. This is already going to have to be 120 degrees. If I try to dimension it again, it says adding this dimension will over-constrain the sketch. So I guess that's all for today. There's a lot of other different types of constraints over here, and you can hover over those to kind of see what's going on, but we'll go over that in the next video.